How's it going, guys? Uno Gaming here. I haven't done one of these in an extremely long time, so it's good to be back on Total Warhammer 3. I don't think I've uploaded one of these games since Immortal Empires actually came out. That was sort of what I was waiting for, just so we could get a few more races, as it was a bit lackluster when it was just the Total Warhammer 3 base races. So going into this fight, I wanted to play with the Dark Elves. I've been on a bit of a Dark Elves craze at the moment. In my head, I knew from the get-go, obviously I saw from my Khorne ally that he was bringing more of a Minotaur-based army, instead of actually going for a real heavy Bloodthirster-based army. So I thought I could go for a bit more of an expensive Lord, and lose a little bit in the form of unit quality, but just go for a bit of the cheaper units and hit bounce to the damage. I knew off the get-go, just have a look here and drop it in slow motion, that the Skaven was most definitely going to go artillery heavy. It's just one of those things that you always notice when playing against Skaven, that they're going to go artillery heavy. I did expect, honestly, Bretonnia to have a few trebuchets, but they decided not to. Instead going for sort of quite a peasant build. Obviously we've got some battle pilgrims, men at arms, followed by knights of the realm. We do have, if I remember correctly, yep, a Fey Enchantress, Green Knight, and Henry Lee Massive. At this point, seeing these three, I knew we had a bit of a goon squad, which I was going to try and avoid if possible. And then obviously we got a classic Ikit Claw, which sadly you don't see as much these days, but it's real nice to see him again. Mutant Rat Ogre. So as I sort of already expressed to you guys, I obviously saw my allies' units before. Chaos Warriors of Khorne, and then some Minotaurs of Khorne, Herald of Khorne, and a Blood Reaper. And I know he's got a lot more Minotaurs, Fury, stuff like that sat in his reserves. So I knew he had the bigger, more expensive units, but he didn't really have single entities. So I started off basically with Morathi first. I thought, you know, the Pit of the Shades, Soul Stealer, stuff like that, we should be able to get some real work done on the artillery. And that's what I'm eyeing up at the start. You know, you can see that I'm sort of flying over, noticing that in terms of range, they haven't really got any that's going to shoot me. So I'm going to take point 1, noticing my ally was pushing for point 3. And I was just really going to give up on points at the minute, because the last thing I want to do is put a lot of my units sort of going into the middle and just get bombarded by these 4th Plague Claw catapults. It was going to be disgusting damage. So I did use the terrain to my advantage. You know, straight away we've got 3 squads of Dark Shards with shields. It's like 3 Bleak Swords, 2 normal Dread Spears, and the Hellbrunnar Dread Spears as well. So straight away we send Morathi over. I knew he's 100 speed, 105 speed. As I thought, I was a little bit faster. I drop a Doom Bolt first on that squad, you know, wiping one out just from the get-go. And I dropped a lovely Pit of Shades here, which is just absolutely wrecking these guys. Luckily he didn't manage to catch it. I'm guessing he was probably focusing elsewhere, but some absolute unreal damage. Obviously he's sending Henry Lee Massive, and if I'm completely honest, I'm pretty sure, I mean, yeah, he probably does beat me in sort of one-on-one, but if I do use my abilities, I could maybe take him. As I say, I'm quite new to the Dark Elves, but I thought I'd play a bit of a safer route, and first thing I would do is I bait him over here and get him in range of my Dark Shards, and just get 3 squads peppering him. I mean, you can see the damage he's taken already. I do decide that I was debating sort of going in on that combat then, but I ideally don't want Morathi to take too much damage. You know, I'll pop a Power of Darkness there just to get my reserves up, and first thing I bring in straight away, Raven Heralds. 1, just to push sort of Henry off, and 2, because I needed some armour piercing to start dealing with the cavalry. Obviously I knew, you know when you're playing against Bretonnia, the cavalry's coming. Next I wanted something sort of big It's the first time using this piece, so I can't say that I've used it often, but I was excited to give it a go. And that is a Charybdis, an absolutely beautiful model. And we do charge him over in a minute. I was just hoping to close a bit of the range so he doesn't get artillery to death. You know, we drop another pit of shades there, absolutely ripping these catapults apart. I do take a lot of damage from the rattling guns, but in all fairness, I'm happy to take that trade. You know, we're just shutting these down. We've got 7 kills on that one. This one's got 1 kill. So these two broke right from the get-go. And now this is where I'll start to push up. Obviously, I know they're just keeping chaff here. You know, the Holy Wardens are good, but still it is only sort of 1 squad. I am, as much as possible, using Morathi to try and keep the pressure up on the Skaven's range squads, because he's got no real presence other than his artillery and his range squads. A little bit of friendly fire there by the looks of it. Yes, we start to bring him over. As you can see, my macro's a little bit lacking. You know, I've got 3 squads here that are not doing anything. He again tries to catch me with Henry, but straight away I answer it with the Raven Heralds and the Dark Shards. I stay in the combat there, which I think was a mistake. I could have realistically done with kiting him a little bit longer, just to reduce how much damage I do actually take here. He suddenly realises that he wants to get the hell out of dodge, noticing that he's taken a fair amount of damage. You know, I'm more than happy just to chase him up. I used a few different pieces this game that I wouldn't normally, but I thought it would be a good chance. I'm trying to experiment with a bunch of things. You might see in a few videos that I upload later on. I experiment a lot more with sort of like the Medusas and stuff like that. I am really quite trying to get into the Dark Elves. I just can't bring myself yet to bring, you know, big old the Regent of the Renown Medusa unit, which I cannot remember the name of. But I'm hoping that I'm about to get that in one of these further games. We'll be able to see if it does any work or if it's got any teeth. See if it can really cover itself. So the next thing I brought in was, I've not used one of these yet, you know, Blood Rat Shrine. I thought it'd be nice to get a bit more ranged presence up. I did worry about killing the Green Knight as well that's running around, so I thought it'd be nice just to get some magical attacks up. At this point I'm continuously keeping the pressure up. You can see the goon squad there of them 3, but I'm constantly trying to keep the pressure up, keep the magic coming and just causing as much terror as I can. And the Charybdis, that's not a great fight for him to be in. I didn't expect the Knights of the Realm, the Brood Hierophants to come through. You know, we drop a Soul Stealer there, hitting the 2 rattling guns. This was really my whole mission with Morathi, was just keep running in or out. You know, we were up to 2,580 gold. She's nearly paid for herself. And that was the idea, just to really get the use of the magic. This was such a waste of my Charybdis. He's just got caught, not really doing anything, stuck in a Jutsu animation, living his best life. But you know, I've got the infantry up there, keep the pushing. I know they can't take 0.2 or 0.1. You know, the pressure is just too much and they can't afford to not fight here. Again, we are just sort of gooning out their squads now. He's trying to get as much units as he can back. Again, this is a real bad play by me. Any of you guys watching this, you know, I was asking for that dwellers below. I don't know why I've stacked 3 Dark Shards like that on top of each other. So really well played by my opponent for capitalising on that. And he does use the dwarfing Manslayers, I believe they are, to really sort of chase up my Dark Shards. But if I'm honest, I'm alright with this. I sent Morathi just to cause a few issues with them. And I am desperately trying to peel these Knights of the Realm off my Charybdis. I do bring in the Slaanesha's Harvesters. Again, these are just little pieces that I haven't really played with. I like the normal version of Doomfire Warlocks, so I thought, you know, I'll give these a go, See if I can really get some use out of them. You know, word of pain on them, then dropping their melee attack, trying to really limit the damage they're dealing. Managed to catch them up. So as you can see over here, my infantry is getting a bit thin on the ground, and that's an understatement. And he's bringing more and more cavalry out. So, you know, the Bloodrat Shrine seems to be enjoying itself. I think I probably would have preferred to bring a normal Medusa than the Bloodrat Shrine. Maybe some Reaper Bolt Throwers would have been quite good in this army as well. I do notice my lack of range, and I straight away bring 2 Scourge Runner Chariots. Thought better get these out. You know, they're quite good arm piercing missiles, anti-large. I was hoping to get rid of the Dwarfing Menace. We do manage to get the Cryptis back. Unfortunately though, one thing I didn't realise, that as cool as the Cryptis is, it doesn't actually have regeneration. Which I noticed was a little bit sad. This was a bubble waiting to happen. Thought I'd get a nice pit of shade on the Knights of the Realm. I mean, you can see Morathi's managed to heal up quite nicely using the Soul Stealers, and she's already now at nearly 4.5k gold. Obviously, we're going to charge her in there. Normally, you obviously don't want to run units with physical attack into the likes of the Green Knight, because even as low HP as he was, he still hurts, especially if you've not got a lot of magic damage to output back on him. There's me just hitting those catapults that have been left there, and I noticed Morathi's actually taking quite a lot of fire. Not having a great time being shot by these peasant bowmen, and they're actually managing to do quite a bit of damage. This was not the best Soul Stealer. I hit the Plague Claw catapults, I hit the peasant bowmen. Not really ideal, quite a waste of magic. Obviously we are using the Snesh's Harvesters and the Shrine just to sort of run over Ikit Claw, get rid of him, hopefully break him off. As you can see at the back here, you know, we've doubled up on our Scourge Runner Chariots. Again, lack of macro on my side, but I do notice bring them back, and hopefully start using them to sort of pick off the cavalry, the mutant rat ogres, etc. So the Cryptis is really just minding his own business. Morathi here, I decide, you know, she's got 53 HP. To save me getting the issue of her dying, I thought I'd teleport her back. I think you'll notice that in a second. Does she teleport back? Yep, there you go, she's out. And then I'm pretty sure I decided to do the exact same with the Charybdis, realising that, you know, it's pretty damaged. Sending him back in is probably not going to be the best. I think I do prefer the Hydra. You know, the Hellbro and I are coming back out again. Just get the anti-large on the field, and I've really lost a sort of actual force of men on the ground. A lot of the things I've got at the moment are sort of like Scourge Runner Chariots. You know, I've got a couple of the Raven Heralds over there. You know, the Bloodrat Shrine is just stood being shot, I believe, by the bowman. So again, lack of macro on my behalf. And they've honestly been able to push us out alright. Obviously at this point we know they're not going to win this. You know, we've got all 3 points. Khorne's pushing back in quite nicely. And I decide that actually I'm going to get some boots back on the ground, as they say, and bring up a bunch more infantry, even though knowing at this point that the game is pretty much done. My build, I was not a massive fan of the Bloodrat Shrine or the Charybdis. I feel like I definitely could have done maybe some Harkonneth Executioners. I think Morathi was a really golden choice. I think she really paid for herself, especially the damage she did at the start. Personally, if I was Skaven, I would have liked to have seen maybe only 2 catapults and then possibly some actual range units at the start to stop Morathi just walking in. You know, the nasty Burbos sharpshooters probably would have been quite good, just to have that threat to stop the likes of Morathi walking up and dropping a pit of shade straight on them. I'm just running the units in. I'm pretty sure they're going to surrender in a minute. You know, we know there's no chance of them winning this. and I'm just moving units back up. You know, more Dark Shards, more Dread Spears. But I know, same as everyone else knows, this game's over. My Khorne ally, I think, did a really good job holding the fight in the middle. I definitely was able to sort of come around the side and fight more of a weakened force. Didn't have to deal with as much cavalry as he did. A lot of the Bretonnian cavalry was focused fighting down this angle or around the centre, whereas I followed the left and round. So as you can see, it's just ticking on. I would love for people out there who's probably a bit more knowledgeable on the Dark Elves to possibly, you know, drop me comments with build ideas, what they thought works well, or what lords they reckon was better. I mean, as you can see, Morathi did a good job. 4,600, it's a real good job. The infantry, I feel, you know, was a bit hit and miss. I don't think I gave them the option to have anything in there, so I could use a sort of bleak swords as a buffer, and then maybe some witch elves or some Hageneth executioners, sisters of slaughter behind them, and allowed them to deal the damage. This is a good chance for me to battle. I mean, 2,000 on them. I think they're a real class unit. You know, they're fast, they're flying, armour piercing, they do quite a good amount of damage. The Blood-Rack Shrine, even though, you know, it did quite a lot of damage, I was not a massive fan of. The Cribdis, again, not a massive fan. The Senescious Harvesters, I definitely feel like there is a place to use these. But I probably would have been better bringing Doomfighter Warlocks and then maybe another squad of cavalry. And the 2 Scourge Runners, just for sort of sweeping units and picking up kills, they did do a good job. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.